Hey everyone. I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd come on and do a little video kind of explaining a little bit about what I've just gone through with some of my health issues and how I'm kind of relating it to trauma in my own life, and just like in general what I'm learning. I'm actually studying right now to be a certified life coach, trauma informed life coach specializing in narcissistic abuse. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm learning all of these different things about the nervous system, the polyvagal theory, which I'll get into, and how all of this is really, I'm like putting all the pieces together and having this like bigger expansive awareness of how much trauma and stress and anxiety and our nervous system really play into a lot of the health issues that we may be experiencing. What I've kind of been doing as far as food. And it's like, I don't really want to become a health coach, but what I think I'm going to be doing more so, studying to become a trauma informed coach, is really, really specializing in trauma informed coaching for people who may have developed diseases. So I'm not going to be like treating the disease, like I'm going to be working and focusing on some of the mental health aspects of the diseases and like how we can calm the nervous system down in order to prevent like inflammation and to really slow down some of those things. And I myself am still working on learning how to calm down my nervous system, because it's really not easy, especially if you've lived in a chronic fight or flight state for a lot of your life. I'm actually also putting this whole thing together. It's like, it's fascinating to me. I'm kind of learning a lot. I have ADD, or ADHD, because there's no ADD now. But I have been kind of understanding how an ADHD nervous system is way different than than a neurotypical, and how we actually are prone more towards things like addictions and alcoholism, which I'm 4 months sober right now, basically from my health issues, but I also kind of put together that I was using it as a crutch for anxiety. So I realized that I was actually in I it actually those with ADHD have lower dopamine. We create lower levels of dopamine, so we constantly need dopamine hits. And sometimes that comes in the form of having a drink or three, and not being, or saying we're going to have one drink and having three or four, because we can't stop ourselves because the impulse control. But it gives us that dopamine hit, and not only does it give us the dopamine hit, those with ADD are overstimulated a lot, and we're oversensory, and it actually like it doesn't really do it, but it gives the illusion that it calms the sensory. So it gives us like a break sometimes. So that's something that, I find really fascinating. But I found that when my nervous system was overactivated, it started causing health issues for me. So I stopped drinking because I noticed my flare-ups, my IBS and stuff was like flaring up extremely when I was drinking. So I stopped drinking, and I noticed a little bit of a difference, but it definitely still has to do with food related issues and nervous system and anxiety and trauma. So I've been really like kind of working on those things as well. So I guess I'll start kind of at the beginning. I kind of gave a little bit of a summary. So on April 19th, I went to the ER, and I was diagnosed with infectious colitis, which is a temporary infection of the colon. Basically, I was having a lot of issues around that, and I won't really go into details in this, but basically, I was having problems, and it super embarrassing, super felt like really debilitating. I felt like I couldn't really go anywhere. I felt like I just like have a flare up like all the time, constantly, and like I never knew. Like I always had to know where the bathroom was, and like just it's super embarrassing, and not like wanting to like tell people about it, and like feeling like I was gonna be a flake if I like canceled, but like people didn't. I don't really want to go into details about why, and like people don't really understand. And so I was kind of going on this journey, and I have been seeing some doctors, and then I um, I I actually scheduled to see a gastro at that time too. The first available was in June, so I just went to like a couple weeks ago. And I was getting really frustrated with that because I really felt like I waited three months for this, and they rushed me through it and basically didn't tell me anything. Like they just like or like we don't know what's going on. We're gonna schedule a colonoscopy. And so I was kind of feeling a little defeated, like not having answers. My symptoms were getting a little bit better, but they were like on and off. So it was just like, I felt like I'm just like, am I always going to be like this? Is this like, and I was also, seeking holistic. I was looking into, I was seeing an Ayurvedic practitioner, naturopathic, trying to kind of like do elimination diets, figuring out, tracking my food, trying to figure out like the stress levels, like is that the cause, is that all, and then also, well, simultaneously I'm learning about the nervous system right now. And the thing that I've really kind of put together at this point is how much the nervous system plays into our health, and specifically our gut health. And it is like, because our basic needs, eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, and those things are like in the reptilian brain, which is what fires when we're in a chronic state of stress. So the reptilian brain doesn't know the difference between an actual danger or a prolonged stressful event over time. And for me, what I kind of realized is that since the pandemic, my brain has gone into this hyperdrive of like this fight flight response, and looking for the threat and wondering where the danger is. And I know that some people, like I didn't, in the beginning, I wasn't really like super fearful. I was like kind of able to calm my nervous system, which was like different for me because I'm like an anxious person. But I was actually able to like, not like go into the fear like right in the beginning when everyone was like freaking out and stuff. But mine kind of came later on, and I just read this thing. I'm reading this book. It's a great book. It's called the I always forget it when I need to like hear The Body Keeps Score. That's what it is. And I forget the author, but it's a really amazing book that really details how trauma is in the body. Like we always think of trauma as like in your head, and like it's like, like a traumatic event happens and you think about it, or you have PTSD and PTSD is just up here and it's in your head. But the body actually keeps score, and it holds trauma, and it holds it in different parts of your body. And that's why, different diseases happen. Like if you, I honestly am a proponent of like the chakra system, and like if you have trouble speaking, your throat, like you're gonna have issues in your throat chakra, which could be thyroid issues. It could be any respiratory issues. It could be coughing. It could be trouble swallowing. Any of those kind of issues, you're probably having throat chakra issues, which is trouble speaking your mind. And I know that's definitely a one for me. Like I feel like, that is something that's just, universally, when you can't speak, when you feel like silenced, you feel like it's really hard to like get your point across. It closes this up. And I've definitely always, like, I've thought I've had like some thyroid issues and stuff, and I've just got blood work done, which came back pretty good for the thyroid. But there are definitely some significant issues that I want to look at, as far as liver and actually bone, which is really interesting, because I broke my foot back at last August. So it's really interesting how I feel like all of this stuff, like it's like everyone's like, oh, I just, I broke a bone. That's like just like, and sometimes, it's not related to any like emotion or not. But like I always look at like, I always look at things differently. Like I look at things like holistically, like, okay, like maybe the anger that you were holding on to and gripping, and your bones are just like so tense and so tight that like I had to like release the anger through breaking my foot. That's really what I believe, because I was actually really angry that night that I broke my foot. And I think a lot of it was related to things that I felt like silenced about and I couldn't speak on throughout the pandemic. And I actually just read in that book that I was mentioning, The Body Keeps Score, there was a passage that was like it really made so much sense to me. It basically said, when you feel ostracized from communities, from groups, from people in general, and you feel like you can't trust them, that is something that is so traumatic to your nervous system, and sense of survival. Because if you really think about it, we are tribal people. Like we used to be, in tribes, like hunting and gathering and defending from lions, and we relied on each other to make sure that we weren't being attacked, or somebody would gather the food while we take care of the children, and all of those kind of like structures. And when we did something to upset the balance of that, and we felt like we were going to be ostracized from that community, that sometimes back then like meant death. That meant that you were fending for yourself against the lions and you're probably going to die. And so that is like in your nervous system, that's like red light, like danger, 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 you're going to die. And our brains really haven't evolved from that. Like we don't understand the difference between we're safe in an environment that, even if we're isolated and alone, and it may be, we all need people, but at the same time, if we were to be completely isolated and alone, the threat, the idea of threat right now isn't as imminent as far as like lions and tigers, but like, and bears, oh my, but it's not as much like of a threat. There's other things that are very threatening right now in the world, but I'm not gonna go into like all of that right now, the fires and whatnot. But all of that kind of stuff is just, I feel like it can wear on your nervous system, and so I think that, as I look back, the past 3-4 years, like I realized that it was an accumulation of just the pandemic and like how stressful that was, and just like the adjustments, the changes, all of the things that happened in the world. And also just feeling isolated. And it was feeling isolated in the beginning, but then it was, for me, I lost a lot of friends, and I lost support from people, and I felt really isolated and alone. And that, to my nervous system, I didn't realize how taxing that had been. And I kind of feel like, at this point, I thought that I would find like a group of people, or, feel this sense of camaraderie, or coming back to the places that I had been. Like, I really don't have a community anymore. I kind of lost touch with a lot of the communities that I had built around. And as much as I really, am desiring this sense of connection and stuff like that, I think there's also this like fear of trusting. So like, even going into a group, I have a lot of social anxiety. I have a lot of just like this pent up tension, and it kind of had been building and building, and I didn't realize it. And I had been doing all this stuff to like, okay, like I want to release a lot of this anger. Like, I don't want to be angry anymore. I just want to let a lot of this go. Like, and I, was forgiving people, and like, the people that fell away from my life, I'm like, I bless you. Like, I understand now, like, what had to happen, and it's okay. It may not have been okay what they said, but like, I'm accepting that it happened, and that it's like, they're not meant to be in my life anymore. And so, I've done a lot of work around that, and I thought I had kind of been like working on that. And there was still this like, pent up like fear. And then it's just this feeling that, never knowing what's going to be around the corner. There's still this feeling in this world, like, what's going to happen next? Like, what are they going to scare us with next? What's coming down the line? Like, these like fires and stuff like that. And like all of the different like, possible scenarios of like what could happen and stuff like that. And it was just wearing on me to the point that I was like I started having panic attacks and like anxiety, like massive anxiety, where I was just like, I can't contain this anymore. And I think finally my nervous system had it, and the stress finally got to me. And they say that IBS is a stress related. It can be triggered. I have read a bunch of different things. I do believe that there was an onset for me back in like December. I got some sort of stomach bug, and it was going around. And I do believe that like there has to be some sort of onset of like disruption in your microbiome, your gut health, to really initiate like a triggering situation, plus stress, plus all of the stuff. It literally just, my system just shut down. Like, and it was just like, we cannot hold this anymore. We can't contain this. And it was really, really scary. I mean, I went to the ER because I was having like so much pain in my stomach, and I lost like 10 pounds in like 2 weeks. It was like, I actually went out the one time, and like people were saying, like I ran into some people that I knew, and they were like, you don't look so good. Like, you look pale. And I was like, I know. Like, I felt weak. I felt pale. I felt like I wasn't able to like absorb any nutrients. Like, I was eating a little bit. Sometimes like I couldn't even get anything down, but like I was eating a little bit, and then I felt like I was just like passing it like right away. Like, I wasn't absorbing any nutrients. So like I felt like I was just like kind of like wasting away a little bit. Like it was really scary, and I just like didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't know what was happening. And then when I went to the ER, they gave me antibiotics, and then I also had a mental health crisis from the antibiotics, which I know that they actually say that when your gut microbiome is disrupted and really, like, if there's, if you're kind of wiping it away with antibiotics, it can cause a lot of like mental issues. But I actually read up on the specific antibiotic that I was on, which was Cipro, and people that were on that literally had suicidal thoughts or committed suicide. And I called a hotline for the first time, and it was really, really hard. Like, it was just, I was at this point where I was like not eating, like I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I just like couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with it. And I'm doing a lot better now. Like, I'm doing a lot better, like, mentally and stuff, but it was rough. And then, after that whole issue, then I basically, it took a while for my gut to like I wouldn't say it's back to normal either. I'd say it's getting there. I'm definitely like way better than I was. But it took a while. It was trial and error with foods. I was like getting really depressed because I felt like I had to change my entire diet. Like, I felt like I couldn't go out to eat because I didn't know what I could or couldn't eat. I wasn't, drinking. And like I felt like, there were times when I felt like I couldn't even go to the grocery store without worrying about having to run to the bathroom. Like, it was just like really debilitating and embarrassing, and just, I felt so lost. And I'm luckily like a lot better than I was like at that point. I think that, I've gotten myself like to a point where like I'm definitely doing a lot better with all of that stuff. But it's been a rough road. But like what I really want to, talk about is how trauma comes into play. So, I'm studying to be a trauma-informed coach. So the lady that teaches my course, she focuses on the polyvagal theory. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into as well. For those of you who don't know what the polyvagal theory is, we have a vagus nerve. The vagus nerve basically runs from like the top of your head all the way into the gut. Like it's like a long flowing nerve, and there's branches that are like out from like each nerve. And then we have the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which can be the rest and digest, but it also incorporates the freeze response. So, when we're in our parasympathetic nervous system, it's kind of, when we're in the rest and digest, we're calm in our system. Our body isn't going into hyper alert. Like, think of an animal, like when they're just like, think of a deer, like when they're grazing, like they're just kind of like calm and just like not like worrying about anything. They're just kind of like doing their thing. And then all of a sudden there's an animal or there's a person or there's something that they see at the corner of their eye. What do? They freeze. So they go into either, actually, I think it is part of the fight or flight response, but they basically freeze. They freeze and they kind of like don't move. And then they kind of assess the danger. Like, is this thing dangerous or is it not? And then if there's an animal that's actually about to like attack them, then they go into the fight or flight response, and they basically either mobilize themselves to run away or to fight. And that's what our nervous system is designed to do. We are mammals. We basically have the same DNA and the same programming, but we also have higher intelligence. So we're able to process things like that, but we can't actually process when something is a threat and it's not. So we often go into our fight or flight when we are exposed to chronic stress and or overthinking, and we tend to be in hyper alert more often than we need to be. So what an animal does, if it's pinned to the ground by some sort of other animal, it then goes into the freeze response because it plays dead. It wants to let the other animal know, okay, I'm dead. Leave me alone. And maybe they'll be able to escape. Their primary source is, I need to survive. I need to survive this. So basically they play dead. And if the animal thinks that it's dead, the other animal will get up, and that's when they can activate their fight or flight and run away. And after they've cleared that danger, after that animal's far away from the danger, it will then start shaking. When it's away from any threat and it knows that it's safe again, it will start shaking. It does kind of a tremor, or it shakes its body. And that's actually to shake off all of that stress. All of those cortisol, hormones, all of the adrenaline, all of everything that they just went through, it needs to shake it off. So it actually moves its body and it shakes. And it actually is able to it sometimes sighs or makes noise or kind of releases some pressure. And then it's able to not to be in the moment and be completely fine and just get up and eat food and digest and all of those kind of things. But our nervous system doesn't necessarily do that, because we're an overthinking society and our brains are much more complicated, and we don't know when we're actually safe or we're still being threatened. And it's not to say we're in this constant state of we feel like we're actually gonna die. It's not a conscious thing. Sometimes our brains just say, I don't really know what's danger and what's not. So I'm gonna keep in this constant visual of protecting myself in order to feel safe. And so I kind of feel ever since 2020, for me, I've been in this hyper alert. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, because it's just been this constant bombardment of oh my God, what's the next thing? What's gonna happen next? And I haven't really been able, like I said, I'm putting also the ADD part of it. My brain is hyper sensitive in the beginning. My brain does not create as much dopamine as other people, and I'm also prone to sensory overload, and I have a very sensitive nervous system in the beginning. So this bombardment and this overwhelm, this constant feeling of negativity and all of these influences from outside, I've just feel my body was finally okay, we can't hold this anymore. So whenever that happens, it often turns to the physical. The physical is often a last resort for our bodies to tell you, hey, I'm not doing okay. Like, I'm not able to hold, like, we can't keep going on like this. And so what I've been finding is, everyone's like do yoga, do meditation, do all of these things, but it EFT tapping, I talk about that. It's just, it hasn't been enough. Like, and I feel like it's because we're still trying to process, like, I make the metaphor of like digestion. I feel like I haven't been able to digest what has happened, like, in the world. Like, it's just like, wow. Like, think of all we've just gone through. Like, it's a lot to digest. And I think my body was just like, we can't digest this. Like, we can't process this. Like, help us process it. And I think, I'm trying to find ways. Like, I think it's like, what I'm finding is when I want to escape, when I want to go into like, like escapism, avoidance, like that, like it makes it louder. So like I've been having a lot of anxiety lately, and it like restless energy. And it's just like, whenever I'm like that, it's just like, okay, how can I drop into this? But that's like the last place we want to be. Like, just every time that I'm like feeling so anxious, I'm just like I just need to escape my brain. Like, I need to escape my mind. And that's why, like, I feel like drinking for me was a huge issue. Because, like, it was just this constant feeling of fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. And my body's like, I just want something to numb out. And, like, it's, but then alcohol causes problems in the body, too. And, so, I'm trying to find ways to not just numb myself out, but to really like soothe myself, to really ease into and to listen to like, okay, what am I really feeling? Like, what's happened? Like, what am I processing still? Like, how can I help myself process this? Like, how do I want to do a tapping? And sometimes you do tapping to like I want to make this go away. Please make this go away. And if you're not familiar with EFT tapping, watch the rest of my videos. I have a ton of like videos on EFT tapping where I explain it. But it's just like, when you're like tapping to like I don't want to feel like anxious anymore. And it's just like, but that's like the opposite of what you should be doing. Like, or I shouldn't say should. That's the opposite of like what your body like really wants. Like, what your body, like when you have a disease or you have anxiety or you have something come up, it's your body expressing to you, hey, there's something wrong. Can you listen to me? And when you're like, shut up, push it down, like, and you don't want that thing. And I'm not saying like, if like, I know that, certain people and stuff, like, they need to be on medication for certain issues in their life. But alongside that, I do believe that every disease coming up is a way of your body expressing to you that something's not working, that you're not happy, that there's issues in your life. And I've kind of come to terms with that because, like, I know for me, I'm like, okay, every time, like, something comes up, I'm like, okay, speak to myself like a little child, like, okay, honey, like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Like, think of a little child coming to you and saying, like, my belly hurts, or like, I don't feel good, like, I'm sad, and, like, think of yourself saying, shut up, take this pill, and go away. Like, would you ever say that to, like, a little child? Like, no. So, like, why are we saying that to ourselves? Like, why are we saying that? Because, like, it's not fair to us. Because, like, if you really look at it like that, like you can, like, I've kind of been able to like find moments, like I don't always remember it, but I've been able to find moments where I'm just like, hey honey, like, are you okay? Like, and my inner child's like, no, no, like, no, you've been ignoring me and you're telling me to take this thing and then go away. Like, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry I did that. Like, and it's actually like, it makes you tear up, like, to realize, like, how hard we are on ourselves, like, and how hard we are on our inner child. And, like, and especially when the body is not feeling well, like we're harder on ourselves. We're like, oh, like just do the thing, and like my body is broken, and like what's wrong with me, and I can't do the thing because I'm broken. And it's not true. Like, it's really not true. Like, we we can heal ourselves. Like if we kind of learn to like reparent ourselves, like, but it's just it's hard because like in our fast-paced world, like people don't have the time to like especially if you have children of your own, like people don't have the time it takes to like parent themselves. Like, I mean, they have a full-time job, they have kids, they have like relationship, they have all of these responsibilities, they have to pay their bills, they have to do those things, and then you're asking me to parent another child, like myself. Like, no, I'm on the back burner, and I'm like, but that's what but that's what happens. That's what leads to disease. Like, if the more we neglect ourselves, like, we have to like realize, like, we have to be a priority. Like like the kids can't, like, if you have children of your own, you can't be a good parent until you parent yourself. Like, you can't run the ship from an empty, like, you can't be the captain of the ship of your household unless you work on yourself. And I get that. Like, it's just like, it seems so easy, and like it isn't. Like, it isn't easy. And part of it is, you know, I really do believe the system, like the way that we run our system, I think a lot of people saw during the pandemic that it was not working. Like, so many people realized after, you know, taking time off from work, or having to be home, like how much of it, like how much they didn't like really want to go out and do all of these things, and like have all these obligations, and have all these things, and have all like, and then run your household. And then it's like slow down a little bit. Like we don't have to be like running on a treadmill like constantly. And yeah, like I just, you know, I've really realized through like what I'm going through, it's just like this is what I'm like here to help people through, because it's not easy. Like, I'm not saying like I'm just like I'm 100% better and everything's great. Like I have my days. Like, I have my days where I'm just like, F this. Like, I hate everything. Like, I hate, you know, and I don't believe that I can heal, and I don't believe that, like, you know, there's I have my moments, like, have my moments that I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't want to be in this anymore. And but it takes more, I think it takes more effort to like not prioritize yourself. Like, we have it backwards, like in our society. Like, your health, your emotional, physical well-being, your spirituality, your composition, your makeup, that is everything. That is the wealth, like, in this world. And we're taught to, I mean, especially in like theater. Like, I was in theater, and it was like the show must go on no matter what. And I'm realizing like how much I'm deprogramming myself from like those type of patterns, because that causes disease and breakdown in your body. Like I would do shows, like I remember the one time I was like so sick, I literally like would do like I was running a spotlight for a show. I literally had to lay down because I was coughing and I was coughing so much and I was just like had tissues. Like I had to lay down in between the times that I ran the spot and like I got up and did it. Like because I was just so sick and I was like, but I have to do this. Like, and I'm like, since 2020, like the theater, like, I'm just realizing my industry, like, it just, theater is supposed to be like, look at the people that come, like, theater is enjoyable. It's for entertainment. It's for something that you love. And, like, people love to come see the show. But, like, you there has to be a better way than like completely like run yourself into the ground, because I've seen it in so many theater communities, so many people doing theater that it's only them, and there's like, you know, there's nobody else to replace you if you get sick or if you can't do it because they can't afford to like hire more people. And so they literally power through such like terrible things, and just, you know, it's like, especially with these health issues, like I'm realizing like how much of me is like still programmed like that. Like I can't like I have to fulfill this obligation no matter what. Like even if I'm sick, even if I'm dying, like I like there is it's a real process for me to let go of that. Because you know what? Like we can't run ourselves into the ground anymore. Like we if we have health issues, like we have to, like, sometimes health issues come in to say like, stop, you can't do this, like you literally can't, you know, like we're just gonna stop this from happening because you're running yourself crazy and you are not prioritizing your health, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not doing all these things, you're running yourself like you're bound to get sick, you know. And it's just, you know, it's really backwards in our society. And I think, you know, I hope that there's more emphasis on physical and mental health. I hope that people can thrive in careers that they love without burning themselves out. Like for me, my coaching, I'm really lucky. You know, I'm living at home still, and I'm able to like financially afford to be able to, you know, not work as often. And that's like something for me. I'm like, I am so grateful. I used to feel so embarrassed about all of this, but like no, like I'm grateful. Like I'm grateful that I have this opportunity. Not everyone does. And like maybe like you're watching this and you're like, well, I have health issues and I have to work and there's no choice. And I understand that. Like I understand that the system is just rigged and it's not fair. And it's not fair. It's, you know, and some people, you know, are able to get disability and like all of those kind of things, and that's great for them too. But you know, if you're not able to like get off work and you're not able to like, and you just have to keep going somehow, I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry that you have to do that. I'm really like truly sorry. Because I think that there's a better way, and I feel like I want to live in a world where we all can listen to our bodies when we are dealing with issues, especially, but like always, like we're just always like in harmony with our bodies and our harmony with the earth and harmony with like, you know, our basic needs and beyond, like, you know, mental health and physical health and all of those things. And we get to prioritize when, you know, when we're not feeling good, we can take some time off, or when we're not mentally, you know, at a state. And I really like think, you know, the future, like I do see that. Like I do see like us being able to like live like that, because and I know right now it doesn't seem like that. I know that people are really struggling financially right now. Like, it's crazy, like inflation. Like I can't believe it. Like, just like even going out to eat, like how expensive it was. Like, it was just it's gotten like outrageous, and I understand the need for people to like work more and like, all of these things. But if you really really tune in to like what you need, and I'll like kind of use this as the wrap up. Like, so trauma informed coaching relating to like mental health, if you really prioritize what you need, if you work on healing some of the trauma that may be trapped in your body, EFT tapping works for that. There are many different methods. I am looking into EMDR. I think that might be a very good source. And also, blending possibly like Western medicine. I'm not completely against it. I'm really looking to this point, possibly getting on medication for anxiety, but, I'm not really sure about it yet. But like, I'm thinking about it because I really want to like feel like I'm in control a little bit more of my nervous system, and that like I feel like, because I've actually like talked to somebody about the IBS, and actually like that's one of the things that they suggest for it. And I've lived with anxiety for so long that I feel like I don't even know what it's like to like live without it sometimes. So like, I feel like in a way that, it's not the answer. Like, it's not the answer. Like, I'm doing all of these things. I'm working on trauma. I'm working on all of these issues. And I feel like I'm starting to like really put the pieces together though, because I feel like for so many, they're just told like, you have this disease and it's just random. It's like you just got it, or they may know what caused it, but there's no cure, or there's you're just gonna have to live with this for the rest of your life. And I know that it sounds really like harsh, or it sounds maybe too good to be true, that you could possibly heal it. And I really do believe that reparenting yourself, focusing on inner child, healing your trauma, doing EFT tapping, eating healthy, and by eating healthy I mean like basically eating clean, like just organic fresh fruits and vegetables and meats, and basically cleaning up your diet and healing the body. Because like thinking of it as, sometimes people want fast food because it's a treat, or they want, I'm a big culprit of sugar. So like, yes, I do still find myself addicted to sugar, and that's something that I'm like working on. But I allow myself, like, I feel like sometimes I was like, especially in the beginning of all of this, I was like, oh my God, I can't have sugar, I can't have dairy, and I can't have gluten. I'm like, I'm already gluten free for like 5 years, but that's like sugar for me was like, oh, like and dairy. I'm like, I can't have cheese and like ice cream, and like, so I'm getting used to a little bit of it. I'm not completely doing like all of it, and I think that would be a little overwhelming right away, but I'm trying to like moderate. So I think really learning to listen to your body and to really nurture it and nurture your inner child. Stop being so hard on your inner child. Like, that's really, like, if you're just like eating healthy, but you're like you eat a little bit of sugar and you're like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? You're so stupid. Why'd you have that? Like, it inflamed you, and like blah blah blah, like all this stuff. I'm like, that's like talking to a child like that. Like Like, would you, like, I mean, if your child was like, kids always like want sugar, like always. Like, I don't know I mean, not all children, but like most of them, like, are like, I want sugar. So if you like went up to your child and they told you like, I had a cookie and like my tummy hurts, like, because I had a cookie, if you were like, you're so stupid, like, why did you have that cookie, like, you're like, you just like made everything worse, and like, you're terrible because you had a cookie, like, the child will start crying. That's like what you're doing when you're like mad at yourself for like not eating the right thing. So like, that's not helping your system, like, right. So just like being easy on yourself. Like, I mean, I think this is a reminder for myself too, because I do the same thing. I do that. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I had some sugar and now my thing isn't inflamed. Like, and I'm just like, I hope I don't get, like, I'm just like, oh, just like relax. Like, it's like, I need to learn how to like relax a little bit more. So anyway, I feel like this video is like going really long. So, yeah, I am currently working on my certification program. I'm hoping to put out some more videos like this. I'm not currently accepting clients right now, but I'm hoping to get back to it soon. I'm working on the certification, and when that kind of comes in, if anyone is interested, I have to do 3 case studies for the certification program. So if anyone is interested in doing a case study, I would be open to doing that, and that's free. Like, that's just for helping me for my certification program, and you will get some information about polyvagal theory and tracking your nervous system. So it would be very beneficial for you as well. So if you are interested in that, do let me know. I'm not taking clients right now, but as I am working towards my certification, I will let you guys know, because I am planning on doing a lot more, maybe doing some workshops. I'm hoping maybe to get my EFT tapping certification as well, because I'm really realizing that for me, that's like the best way. Like, I've like been trying to find different ways to really like calm the nervous system, and like I keep going back to EFT tapping. I mean, it may not be the method for everyone, and I'll share a lot of other insights in my coaching for other people that maybe don't do well with tapping. But I have found for me, it's just the quickest way. It's the quickest way to like really get to the core of like of your issues and stuff. So yeah, so let me know if you're interested in doing the case studies, and I hope you found this information interesting. All right, I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.